Hi everyone. So welcome back to Behind the Ride, the podcast where we pull back the curtain on Southeast Asia's biggest disruptors and dreamers. So the people and companies reimagine how we move, work and live. So I'm your host today, Afiq, and today we buckle up. Because we are not just hopping into a Grab, but we're diving into the story behind it. This isn't just an app on your phone. This is a startup that starts beside a monsoon drain with no Wi-Fi, powered by pure hustle and RM 1 ringgit nasi lemak. I'm not doing this alone. Joining me, five brilliant, passionate voice. Give it up for Shazana, Ria, Kash, Sabrina, and Fiza. Alright, Shazana, bring us back to the very beginning. How did this giant actually start?
So it all started back in 2009 at Harvard Business School. There are these two Malaysian, Anthony Tan and Tan Wee Lee. They met in this class called Business at the Base of the Pyramid. Basically, it's a course about solving real problems for communities that are often being overlooked. Now, what some people might not know is that the whole idea of Grab actually comes from a simple but serious issue, which is to make transportation safer, especially for women and kids. This is because back then the taxi system in Malaysia was a mess. It was unregulated, unsafe, and honestly full of horror stories, especially for female passengers. And that's what really pushed Anthony and Ling to actually do something about it. And they wanted to create a safer, more reliable option. And that's how the idea for Grab was born.
So what kind of stories are we talking about?
Well, Ling, one of Grab founder, actually went through the harsh taxi world herself back in her consultant days. She said she used to finish work late at night as a consultant, and she would jump into a cab at 11 p.m., pretend that she was on the phone with her mom, just to signal to the driver that someone was checking on her. And if anything was to happen to her, she could call for help. So it was really about survival. And if you Google worst taxi in the world 10 years ago or 15 years ago, the top hit for the first page or two would have been Kuala Lumpur. So yeah, the problem wasn't just about getting a ride. It was really about safety. People were genuinely scared, especially for women.
Not only that, Anthony and Ling pitched a simple but powerful idea to the Harvard New Venture competition, a taxi app that could trade rate and protect. They call it My Taxi and won 25,000 USD to kick things off. But the real journey began after Malaysia as they expanded to Philippines, Thailand, and Singapore. Grab had faced a new reality because each market had its own transport culture, infrastructure challenge, and user behavior. Instead of using one solution, and they rebuilt adjust whether it's creating Grab bike in Vietnam due to motorbike usage or redesigning routing system for Manila traffic. They also had to build trust not just with the driver, but government, investor, and user. The Grab team spent time learning local law, engaging city officials, and even integrating cash payment early on to match how people actually transacted.
The startup of Grab is when they launched in 2012. The first office, ventilated driver's room in Malaysia, no dust, no aircon, no internet, just plastic tables by a drain, tethering the phones for Wi-Fi, convincing drivers one by one.
The crazy part is that the majority of drivers didn't even have smartphone, so they came up with a plan where the group CEO Anthony Tan and its co-founder Ling traveled to Korea to make a deal with Samsung, so that Grab and Samsung offering microfinancing of mobile device for drivers and focus on giving them a course to mobile technology, which will reduce the cost of purchasing of a smartphone and also lower ongoing maintenance costs with superior software and security features.
Okay, so petrol station stall were physically put up, nasi lemak was distributed, and taxi uncle were invited to the new taxi app. Persuade and sincerity have been used to attract people. They also struggle on toll booths and kept windows at airports. That is literally missionary work, not just a business activities.
Yeah, it was tough, slow, and very manual. But they kept going. Every city they go, Manila, Jakarta, Bangkok, they had its own transportation problem. So they couldn't just copy and paste the same plane everywhere. They had to adjust. Like in Manila, the traffic was so bad they had to rethink how the whole route system worked.
So from nasi lemak and plastic tables, how did Grab start taking over?
By 2030, the demand for reliable safe transport in Asia-Pacific city was sky high. Grab quickly expanded to Philippines, Thailand, and Singapore. Within a year, they weren't just a My Taxi anymore. They becoming go-to-go solution for urban mobility.
By the way, in 2014, they actually moved their HQ from Malaysia to Singapore.
But why? Grab might have been a milestone, something of which are we proud if they had remained in Malaysia. Like, oh, that big tech company, yeah, it start and stayed here.
Well, Singapore had better technology infrastructure, access to investors, and it was seen as a regional hub for startup. So with Grab being based in Singapore, it made Grab look more legit on global stage, and it helped them to raise money and attract top talent.
With that move, it made investors look at them more seriously. Singapore is a country like a Silicon Valley of Southeast Asia. It gave Grab an opportunity and capital for the business.
Also, by 2016, they rebrand as Grab. It wasn't just a name change, it was a mindset shift. They weren't just solving transport anymore. They were chasing a bigger vision, which is becoming Southeast Asia's first super app.
Okay, they also added Grab Car as private car rides and also Grab Bike, motorcycle, Grab Express as deliveries and Grab Pay, a digital wallet. And suddenly you could book a ride, send a parcel and pay your bills all in one place.
This was their WeChat moment. When they realized one app could become go-to-go tool for everyday life and they made it happen across different country, language, currency, and even legal systems.
So when did really Grab dominate the market?
In 2018, that's when everything changed. Uber Southeast Asia has been taken over by Grab. Instead of continuing a ride e-hailing battle, Uber surrendered their position in exchange for a 27.5% shares in Grab.
Grab gained access to Uber driver, user, and backend system. Overnight, they doubled their reach. It was a power move that shook region tech scene.
And isn't just about growth, it is about consolidation. For once, the fragment of C market saw a clear labor, but it also raised eyebrows.
Then came the critics. People start saying that Grab was getting too powerful, like they were the only big player left in the game. And people are getting worried that the price may be going up because, as you know, when there is no competition, typically company used to hike up the price because customer has no other choices instead of going for it. Also, at the same time, the traditional taxi driver were not happy with Grab either. They were saying that Grab was taking over the whole industry and stealing their job.
However, Grab responded with more safety features, better driver standard, and continuous platform upgrade. It wasn't just a monopoly play. They doubled down user trust and operational excellence.
They also had to follow stricter regulation. Operating across 8 countries means you have to deal with 8 different legal systems. They began investing heavily in compliance team, building government relation, and participating in regulatory conversation to help shape the future e-hailing.
The moment marked Grab transition from disruptor to a regional incumbent, from fighting battles to setting the rules of game.
Let's get a bit nerdy. Tell us, Rabina, how did Grab evolve into a legitimate IT business?
Okay, so actually, Grab didn't just embrace technology, they built it from scratch. Here's a breakdown. So, the first one is Grab Maps. So, actually, they custom a navigation system developed for sea highway. It features shortcut, motorcycle lanes, local building names, and hyperlocal drop-off zone, which are especially beneficial in densely populated cities like Jakarta or Hanoi. Next one is AI matching. So actually, they matches drivers and rider using traffic data, proximity driver ratings, ETAs, and historical pattern to reduce wait times and cancellation. For the next part is GrabFood AI. They can suggest meals by analyzing user behavior. If you always order bubble tea on Wednesday, they actually know, and it even can detect factors in weather. So if it's expected to rain, they can suggest you soup meals. They also have fraud detection, uses machine learning to track user behavior, detect account takeover, or block suspicious payment and reduce fraud related losses. Okay, so for the last one, it is generative AI. It introduced to power chatbots, automate merchant onboarding, translate product listing, and even generate marketing materials for small businesses.
Not only that, Grab also expanded to fintech through Grab Financial Group. They aim to bridge the gap for the unbanked, such as first, Grab Pay for digital payments, second, Grab Invest for small scale investing, third, Grab Insure offering affordable insurance, and lastly, BNPL services, which is to help users defer payments.
This was the first financial product for a large number of users in rural or semi-urban areas. They were able to obtain microloans and saving tools through Grab that were unavailable through banks.
Not only that, they also invest in talent too, with AI lab in Singapore and Beijing. They built a pipeline of innovation from deep learning to predictive logistics.
Yeah, and all of this helped transform Grab from an transportation app into an intelligent ecosystem, adapting to every aspect of modern life.
So all this success must have come with its fair share of major challenge and setback going to the fair.
Absolutely, the ride wasn't always smooth. Grab faced major protests from taxi drivers who felt threatened. In cities like Kuala Lumpur, rarely stopped traffic as taxi unions protest and claimed that Grab was breaking the regulation. They want the government to step in and to defend their rights.
So yeah, because of all this pressure, the government starts stepping in. For example, in Malaysia, they start setting up a rule that all Grab drivers they need to obtain a PSV license, some sort of what taxi driver have right now. So now all Grab driver they need to do a medical checkup, background check, and even driving test. This is to ensure that not anyone can become a Grab driver. So to ensure that the customer is safe.
Safety was another big issue. Unfortunately, a few high-profile incidents involving drivers and passengers triggered public outrage. It was a breach of trust.
So actually, Grab responded fast. They introduced live ride tracking, rolled out an in-app SOS button, launched driver and passenger verification system, and lastly, they deployed AI to monitor suspicious behavior during the rides.
But even with these safety features, public scrutiny still was relentless. After Uber accusation, many felt Grab had monopoly. Complaints about high price grew, and social media was full of calls to boycott the app.
To their credit, Grab listened. They implemented price transparency tools, fare breakdowns, and increased customer service responsiveness.
So in general, how did Grab manage through the COVID-19 pandemic and what steps did it take to adapt to the challenge it brought?
When lockdown begins, people stopped using Grab for rides because they had to stay at home. So Grab quickly shift to delivery food, grocery, and essential instead. They also help driver and small business by offering financial support during tough times.
Other than that, they ramped up Grab Mart and Grab Express, delivering everything from groceries to medical supplies. These weren't luxurious, they were lifelines.
Okay, so contactless delivery was rolled out on region-wide. They even introduced doorstep drop-off, in-app health declarations, and temperature logs to protect both users and drivers.
On top of that, Grab launched hygiene kits for drivers, safety training modules, cash flow tools for struggling merchants, and collaborated with governments to distribute COVID-related information.
Yeah, and also through Grab Financial, they also offer microloans and buy now pay later option to help gig workers to survive.
They also kick off something called Grab Durian, because it was a campaign that helped a fruit seller move their durian stock online when the market shut.
The pandemic tests everyone, but Grab showed that it wasn't just a business focused on profits. It was a true community partner stepping up to support its drivers, merchants, and customers during a time of crisis.
Do you know that in 2021, Grab made global headlines by going public on the Nasdaq through a record-breaking $14 billion SPAC deal? This was not just the biggest SPAC at the time, but it was a declaration. Southeast Asian tech scene had officially gone global. And it doesn't stop there. Grab has been raking in awards and honors like Brand of the Year at the Malaysia FA Awards 4 years in a row up to 2024, proving its consistent connection with users. Agency of the Year 2024 for its internal creative team, the Grab Creative Studio, showing off its storytelling muscles. Lastly, most innovative company recognition by Fast Company in 2023, specifically highlighting innovation like Grab Maps and Grab Financial.
Now Grab is everywhere. They are in more than 8 countries, more than 400 cities, and even got 35 million users using the app every month.
With 13 million registered driver and merchant, Grab ensure income opportunity for millions, from food hawkers in Penang to delivery riders in Ho Chi Minh City. It's powering grassroots entrepreneurship across the region.
And don't forget its environmental goals. Grab has rolled out electric vehicle (EV) programs, carbon offsetting and sustainable packaging initiative, proving it's not just about scale, but about responsible growth.
Okay, so their future roadmap includes deeper AI integration, cross-border payments, more financial products, and expansion into digital health services. Grab wants to be a platform that you don't just use daily, but one you rely on to live better.
Alright, team. One word to describe Grab journey in a quick fire. Me first. Unrelenting.
Legacy.
Hustle?
Evolution.
I think resistant.
Innovation.
Okay guys, to sum up, Grab did more than simply create a business. It went from a Harvard class project to a mega app that is used in 400 cities. So decade in a time period. We appreciate your interest in Behind the Ride. Like, follow, share and perhaps use Grab to place your next lunch order. Okay guys, that's all from us today. Thanks for watching. Bye. Apa? Ada.
Behind scene.
See you next